this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, this is Look Up Television right here on the headquarters. And of course, it's a matter of national security, even as we speak about the government's implement child protection through laws like Kenya's Children Act, policies, and many more, of course, multi-agency systems to safeguard children from abuse. A conversation that is taking the center stage across the divided ends. And of course, this morning, we'll be speaking are our children safe? The conversation this morning, of course, will be guided by Evelyn Gathoni and Beverly Coleman, of course, to understand the betterment of how safe our children are, and of course, how we can make sure that we protect them in the best way possible. Of course, as the government try as much as possible to implement strategic laws to ensure that every child is protected, there's a cause of alarm, even as we speak right about now, and the children are on a holiday. The children are on a holiday, and of course it comes at a point in time where they have to address matters, and of course parents are also coming in the best way possible to ignite a better space for these children. Child protection rights rooted in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCARC, ensure every child right to survival, development, protection, and participation, focusing on freedom from abuse, exploitation, neglect, and harmful practices. Of course, even as we wait for the discussion, Lord Children Protection Officer Evelyn Gathoni, as well as Beverly Coleman, Child Protection Specialist, will help us to understand nini mbaya happen and what are some of the things that really happen in the understanding of this particular conversation. Join us in the next 1 hour, even as we discuss about a common particular subject that many of us would want to discuss about this, and as well to make sure my producer check on the background sound. This one is killing my concentration, of course, in the best way possible. Will ignite the same focus as well. So to really understand the glimpse of all this, many a times we speak about this day in, day out, but right in the heart of the society, we still speak about the safety of these children. What is your take on the safety of our children, even as they are on their holiday? And the question we're asking this morning is, do you think our children are safe, and how safe are our children? Even as we take the divided ends on the child rights protection, the government even strategizes to ensure that they are on the best way on their alignment. But at some point in time, we also realize that some of their rights are violated, either from the people they know, either from their parents, and it comes as a subject of insecurity. Some of the children wanaanza kutembea kwenye mitaa because they are scared even to go back to their homes, because wanashangaa hali itakuwa namna gani if these are their parents, ili waende washughulikiwe na mtu wa nje rather than their parents or the people they know, either their aunts or their uncles that are the source of insecurity in their lives. Harmful practices guaranteeing basic like life, health, education, and parental care, and empowering them to express views, all while ensuring their best interest are paramount. So survival and development, rights to life and health, of course we've been mentioning this across the divide. But even as we begin the conversation, of course, there are many things that have been happening across the week. And remember, this is the weekend yenye sasa tunakaribisha sana festivities, not forgetting about the Jamhuri festivals, the Jamhuri engagements that are coming tomorrow. We'll be able to have the preparations and discussions around Jamhuri Day. Everyone is talking about it. And of course, kila mmoja ameanza safari zake. We'll get to understand that as well, even as we welcome the festive season, that is the Christmas, inakaribia. The same route, the same room. We ask all parents, all relatives, and all that have their children, manzi, to take care of these children in these festive times. Ndio tukifungua Januari tusikuwe na mambo mengi, tusikuwe na kesi nyingi sana zenye zinakam. Even as we speak about that, cheki pale nyumbani, let's take care of ourselves. Child Protection Act becomes the element of the discussion. Sindio? It's nice to see you this morning. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Evelyn Gathoni. I am a lawyer by profession, a child online protection officer, especially for this course as I'm having a conversation with you. Most important. I'm also a child safety trainer, and above it all, I'm a legal assistant at Legal Sister.
All right, sawa. quite a particular introduction that you mentioned this morning, and it's so lovely to see you. And later on in the discussion, we'll be able to understand how your upbringing came into life. Wewe ukikuwa mkubwa hali ilikuwa namna gani, and of course to understand just the enlightenment of child protection and the rights, ni jinsi gani we will understand on how ati right ya mtoi imeviolatiwa, and you will help us understand that, and of course what is the state of child safety right in the Republic. Nitakuwa vizuri sana even as we get the engagement done and said. 18 minutes past 8 a.m. Of course the conversation will be kick-starting right about now. Later on, of course, we'll be joined in by Bibeli to understand the roots of this child protection conversation day in, day out. We are told, of course, to join in the conversation across our social media platforms on YouTube, Lookup Television, on Facebook, and as well as TikTok and Instagram. Cheza kama wewe, www.lookuptv.co.ke, and our WhatsApp number 0745-762-640 is working. Core pillars and principles that have been being discussed day in, day out by the government, by the social health authorities, and of course many of them come in handy to support these children. Organizations have been formed to ensure that children wanapata this safety, and the same taste and kind of conversations are spearheaded by these organizations right to the heart of the societies. But how well can we protect these children? How can we give them freedom, but as well limit their freedom? So without even discriminating them. This discrimination, of course, coming in the point that kuna wale watu yenye wako, let's say PWDs. How are we able to safeguard their rights? How are we able to also ignite change when they are in the bottom line of the society? And of course, majorly speaking about child protection, the law also emphasizes on the child rights. As we discuss about this, the lawyer is in the house, will be helping us to understand how the law comes in handy to protect these children. They have no say, they only depend on the government, and they only depend on the safeguarding from the approach of these organizations to act as their propelling voice to support them in one way or the other. If you know a child out there, if you are a mother out there, and easy conversations in a kangumu sana, this is one of the conversations that you need to tag along and of course embrace in the best way possible. Even as many out there are trying as much as possible, tunasemanga there is no room for perpetrators at all. So even as we near the end of the year, there's still no room for perpetrators. And even as we open the new year, we expect as many children to get back to school. Wanasema after December, after the festivities, ngori will happen. Unapata the children, washapata ball, nini, vitu mingi zime happen. And we do not know how these things come to happen. But above all, we are emphasizing the need of you as a parent, you as a society, take care of these children to at least make them and safeguard their identity, their care, their education, their play, and of course as well as their health care. And of course there is no room for freedom from exploitation. So, all right, so even as we begin this conversation, I've mentioned many things about what we're going to tackle. But when we were growing up, hizi stories za child rights haziko zinaongelewa sana. Why are we speaking about them now?
Honestly, I had you mention about my upbringing, so maybe I can also mention a bit of that as I answer my question. Growing up, I'm born in 2002, so I'm an actual Gen Z, but like our parents were not as, we didn't know too much about legal things, but they just knew that a child should be safe, a child should be protected from bullies, from like the neighboring street children especially, like ungeambiwa tu, usitoke nje unapana chokorata kuiba, such things, but they didn't actually tell us, like you actually have a right to this and that and that, I don't think I ever had my parents tell me that. I just knew that this is wrong. If I do this is wrong, this is right. But at this time, and I think even in the legal space, especially those people who've interacted with the legal space as much, you can be able to see there's so many cases coming up for children. Children are being exploited, they're being trafficked, there's so much violence, online violence, it's literally everywhere. It's erupting, and I think it's a very interesting conversation and that everyone should tune into. Because even if you're not a parent, you were a child once, and you also maybe have nephews and cousins and whoever, and it's also, we're literally raising a generation as a country. So it's not only the parents and the caregivers, it's all of us.
All right.
Yeah.
Now you've heard his voice, Evelyn Gathoni, lawyer, children protection officer. You didn't mention that earlier. But for someone that is seeing you for the first time and this morning is engaging with you, how best would you introduce yourself?
My name is Evelyn Gathoni, once again. I am a girl, clearly. I am someone's daughter, I am someone's friend, someone's sister.
Indeed.
Yeah, so, and I am very passionate about what I think my purpose in life, I'm very passionate about children. Once upon a time I wanted to be a pediatrician, but here we are. So even in the legal space, I still advance the rights of children. So everything I do is mostly about children because it's my passion and I believe it's my purpose.
All right.
Yeah, so that's what I see.
Do you think it's the same thing that we're speaking about children? And it's also nice to know that you are 2001.
Yeah, but am I really a child now? Am I really a child? I feel like the moment you get to 18, well, not everyone. Of course, my parents are still in my life quite as much and like directing things here and there, but they've quite let me go. It's not like the same, you're like, be at home at this time, do this, do that, you know. Yeah, but like, of course, I'm still a child. I'm still their child. Even if I'm 40, they'll still see me as a child.
But 2001 wanasumbua sana.
Ai kweli, ni nani hao unapata na wao?
Watu from 2001 to 2007 wanasumbua sana. So uko kwa hiyo space.
Yeah, I'm also there, yes. I can say, I think what you're trying to insinuate is the way Gen Zs are very firm and like open about what they believe and they're very firm about it. So I think we've grown up in a time where we're very observant. That's what I know about Gen Zs. So we can be able to tell that this is happening here, it's not right. This is happening here, there's improvement here. That's why we're able to actually, let me bring it up, we're able to actually see the gaps in government and actually address them. And I think most people are not fearful. Like we've seen it all. There's nothing to like be fearful about. So I think that's actually nice. And actually, Gen Alpha is going to be worse than us. You better be prepared because those children are smart. Like they literally know. I know like a 3-year-old can even access a device and show you what is where and which apps are which, and they can talk perfect English. Sometimes you don't even understand what they're saying. So I think the more we grow and the more generations to come, the more knowledgeable people are becoming because of exposure. It's mostly exposure, yeah.
All right. And of course, the exposure bado linatuleta kwa ngori, si ndio?
Yes.
All right, we'll come to speak about that later in the minutes. In understanding, of course, child protection right, what majorly comes in as the first hand?
Okay, so in terms of legally, in terms of the legal space, what we mostly adhere to is that the principle, the primary principle when it comes to a child. Even the courts know this, everyone who's in the legal space should know, and it should be something that even the public knows, which is best interest of the child. That's the first thing you think about when you think about a child. Put yourself in the child's shoes, ask yourself, if I make this decision, is it favoring the child? Because most of the time, when it comes to like custody issues, maintenance issues, divorce issues, some parents or like some guardians don't think about how this decision is going to affect the child. So what we do and what we try to do as much as possible is make sure that the best interests of the child are paramount. That is everywhere. It's like universal. You have to adhere to that. Yeah.
All right. And majorly, someone will ask this morning, because we're speaking about our children safe, and as well, we're not speaking as the voice of the children, but also we are speaking at the information to many others that have their children out there. From where you see it and from the expertise you have, are children safe?
I want to answer that question in two ways. First of all, I think there's a part of there are children who are safe, but there are children who are not safe. So I can't completely say yes or no, because I want to look at it in a holistic perspective and a holistic approach. The reason why I say yes, they are safe is because you find that, especially those who've been brought up in the suburbs, or like they've been brought up with their parents knowing about these things, they know children should be taken care of like this. Even in schools, the teachers pay attention to them. They make sure the children have everything. So in terms of that, they are privileged, right? But when you look at it, the children are not safe, because if you look at vulnerable children, especially where I work, Legal Sister, it's a non-profit organization for children. So we mostly work with vulnerable children, and you find that even what is actually mostly affecting us is poverty and illiteracy. Illiteracy in the sense that the parents don't know exactly how to take care of the children, or they have so many kids, so they don't even have the attention to give to one child, you see. But and then again, obviously poverty. Some of these gangs we see, like there's an uprising of children gangs in the Eastlands, like gangs made up of girls aged 10 and even below, and it's coming up because they're trying to find a living for themselves because their parents have left them. Maybe they are the ones who are heading homes, you know, so they have to survive. And how do they do that? They get into crime. So yeah, I think in terms of like they're not safe because there are perpetrators around, and they're like people who are not looking at their best interest, and the fact that they have to do these things to survive because there's no one to take care of them. Yeah.
All right. Child rights abuse is widespread, with nearly half of young adults experiencing physical, emotional, sexual violence as children. And of course, manifesting as neglect, exploitation, harmful practices, and emerging online abuse, despite strong laws like the New Children Act of the 2022 and reporting mechanism, and many others. But as we speak about this particular moment comes at a very pivotal moment where child protection needs to be embraced with everyone. And this is a conversation that tukiamka tu hivi, we need to see how we can safeguard these children. You mentioned earlier that they are more informed. So this more information that they receive might also become harmful at some point in time. Ebu talk to us about physical and emotional that now kills the energy out of me, and I feel I'm not really getting emotional support, manzi ile warmth ya familia. So the only best way, there's a man out there that anacheza kama yeye. So the only best way to do this is to try to stories za mom and dad. Let me find comfort these other places. How would you advise this room of conversation when you're talking about emotional support to these children? Do you find better ways of discussion, hawatachorea at their homes? Earlier on we were having a discussion that also the male children, it is so important to take care of these male children before they get other supports out there. If you buy for them a bicycle, that is more than enough. But if someone out there can buy them a bicycle and more things, they will change there. So what will be your view on the same, on the physical and emotional support?
So in terms of physical, of course, you've mentioned like abuse is, there's different types of abuse. There's physical, sexual, emotional, and for physical, mostly it's like what we've grown up seeing ourselves. Like you're beaten too much to the extent you have marks, you have bruises, you're being, they're not giving you enough food because you have a right to food, right? So that's actually physical abuse. Like anakuchapa, you don't know why unachapa. There's even people who are even banned with like iron boxes. I'm like, hey, that's kidogo intense, but that's basically about physical abuse. It also comes in as corporal punishment. I know there's a ban, actually, there's a ban of corporal punishment. I think me growing up in primary, maybe yes, in primary we were beaten a bit, but in high school I don't remember ever being beaten. Though I know even if there's a ban, there are schools that are still continuing with the trend of being beaten and like harsh punishments, like that a child can't literally do, because guess what, even high schoolers are children. Anyone below the age of 18 is a child. Even if they're 17 and a half, they're still a child. So we consider them a child. In terms of emotional abuse, mostly it's when, and this is where actually the best interests of the child come in a lot, because it's mostly when probably like in a house setting and there's domestic violence and the child is able to witness the domestic violence, that's part of emotional abuse. Number 2 could be it's a rising case. If you know now, if you know the stats, there's a rising case of instability, mental health instability among the children, and it starts from a young age because the parents are not giving the children enough attention, so they go seek it outside, and if they get it, it's not free. Nothing is free in Kenya and in the world, honestly. So of course they'll be expected to give something back, and because they know that I'm getting something out of it, and of course it's a transactional thing, then I should give something back. They don't know that that's not right, you know. They don't know that's coercion, because it's actually coercion, especially in terms of sexual abuse. And you mentioned about boys. Actually, I feel like at some point nowadays, I feel like we are focusing too much on girls that we're actually forgetting the boys. Don't get me wrong, I love my girls. I'm also a girl, I will advocate for them. But I feel like we're also forgetting the boy child. And mostly in terms of, you find, if you look at the stats, those who've grown up without their fathers, their father figures, especially for guys, they end up getting into crime. They end up getting into like a lot of just weird stuff, you know, like the things that we wouldn't uphold, like especially culturally in Kenya. So I think it's really important for parents to be present and to actually support their children emotionally. And honestly, like, please be prepared when you're getting a child. There's really no need for you to bring a child, as hard as the world is right now and as cruel as it is, for them to go through hardship. Just make sure you're prepared, and maybe we should even have or advocate for like parental care, where the parents actually cared for themselves and taught how to parent a child. Yeah, I think that's something we should actually like invest in.
Don't you think, of course, hizo viboko za kitambo zilikuwa zinasaidia sana, like spare the rod and shame the child?
Yeah, I know even the Bible says that, praise God. But yeah, so I think it makes sense because it worked for some of us. Honestly, when you tulikuwa tu watukutu, let's be honest. And so we had to be tunachunwa kidogo here and there. It worked. But some people take it too far. There's no need for you kuchoma mtoto na pasi. It doesn't make sense. There's no need for you to use, I don't know, whips or like a pipe, you know, like the PVC pipes. That thing is really hard if you actually know how thick that thing is. And then you beat a child with so much force. And what happens is you'd find sometimes you can't even blame the parent, because of course they're angry. Tuseme umefanya kitu mbaya, you're angry, they're angry, but and they don't want to punish you like that. But the moment you start being human, it's like the moment you get anger, it goes as easy, it increases. The more you feed it, it increases. So unapata amechapa mtoto, hakuwa anataka kumchapa hivyo, but sasa amevunjika mguu. Now what do we do? That actually can land you in jail. Yeah. So I think it's not necessary to beat children, especially now that I said children are more informed nowadays. I think they really can listen. Yeah, and I think there are also other alternative ways to like correct them. You don't really have to beat them that intensely.
But also I don't appreciate the fact that we are conversing in the sense that right now if you correct someone else's child, things will take a different turn. I remember back in the days when you can correct someone's child either through beating or caning, but it's still good, it's correction. But right now if you correct someone's child, and we've seen cases on social media that soja fulani alichika mtoto fulani akamchapa na asicheze hiyo gari tena, then it becomes chaotic. The society wants to correct these children, but their parents feel like at this point in time, this is my child, and there should be space when it comes to treating my child. Do you think also that creates more room for also perpetrators to find their way in the sense that si mama anakutelekeza, anakusudsud, so it's mimi nitakuonyesha a different turn. What will be your take on the society correcting these children, and the parents now take a different shift in this?
I think, personally, I think community is a very important aspect in everything that we do nationally, because essentially community is what makes a nation, right? So I really actually advocate for societal coming together and like bringing up a generation and all that. And I really understand where parents come from when they say that, don't touch my child is my child. If you want to beat someone up, beat them up, it's fine, but don't touch my child. I understand that because
I think they come from a point of ignorance. Ignorance in the sense that they don't know that some of these community members actually wish good for the children. Because they wanaweza mchapa alafu anza kusema oh unamuonea, oh uko na kiburi, you're jealous because you don't have children of your own, or maybe you're trying to show the child that you actually care about them, but in that sense you're grooming them, because grooming is a thing. You groom a child to believe that you're better off, maybe in terms of religion, if they've grown up religiously, in terms of like maybe education, because I know even girls who give, like the girls are forced or coerced to give sex in exchange of education. Like ndio mtu alipewe fees ama hata chakula. Actually, I don't know if you know about Usikimie. Let me just mention it. There's she was talking about the time she was talking about the CEO. She was talking about a child they rescued who had been raped and was pregnant, a 9-year-old girl who was pregnant out of rape, defilement, and she told them that the reason why she actually decided to give it, to accept it, is because she wanted food, and the man was offering food. So me, I can get food, I've been hungry for a few days, why not, right? But I think honestly, if we train the community as well, in terms of like, if you want to be at the forefront of helping these children grow, make sure that first of all you're doing the right thing. Isikuwe ati now you're beating the kama mtoto kwa amezoea hachapwi, then at least what I'd say is, if you find the child in a mistake, take the child to the parent, tell them I found them in a mistake, I'm not beaten them, I've not done anything, I've brought him here so that we can all solve it together, rather than kushika mtoto wa mtu and then it becomes a whole issue. But I really advocate for community, because even our parents, that's what used to happen. You'll find that your neighbor of 3 counties away, honestly, because the houses were very far from each other, would come and like say, nimemchapa, amekosea na nimemleta, and they'll take it very positively. But as we continue being modernized, let's also use modernized methods. Take the child home, tell the parent, I've got him doing this and this is wrong. Can we have a discussion? Then from there you can continue. Yeah.
And the society is cooked as well. There are people that will want to try correct them. Even before the engagement to the parents come in, they want to correct these children. But because the society is cooked, you'll realize that people will start filming either the male or the female, and then they go further to take the video to the parents and say, si unaona ni ukweli. So by the time you come to respond to the parents, it becomes a different case. Ulikuwa unamwambia nini? What was the conversation? Why are you talking to my child? Yet we do not understand the background of this conversation. And many of which will respond in this way, that because we are having this engagement and because we are in this scene, so they might choose the aspect on, hata kama amefanya makosa, acha kaa hivyo. Let their parent come to learn later on that amefanya nini? Amefanya makosa. Instead of ungetukwa ngori and the blunder that you wanted to assist. So also that should be taken into consideration. And now answering this question, because we are speaking about child protection and the rights, and how will we know that this child rights is violated?
So I had you mention before, I think when you're doing the introduction, rights are categorized into 4. So there's survival rights, which includes right to life, right to food, right to shelter, right to nutrition. Then there's development rights, which includes right to education, right to play, right to access to information. Then there is participation rights, which includes right to a child having an informed decision making of their own, or being involved in the decisions that are being made on their behalf. And then there's also what's the other one? Protection rights, protection from discrimination, which also includes protection from abuse, which could be FGM, which is wrong, child marriages, cultural problems, technically. So I think how you would know a right is violated. Honestly, rights are they're very easy to actually understand. And I think to the government, or like maybe to the legislative arm of the government, it's really good that they came up with the Children's Act 2022, because it's really, if you see, it repealed the Children's Act 2021, and if you compare the two, you can literally see a very big difference. They've literally broken down every right very easily for people to understand. So in terms of violation of a right, I think, of course, the essential ones, like right to food, right to nutrition, right to shelter, all those. If, of course, a child is outside and he's sleeping outside in the rain, that's a violation. Whoever is responsible for them should be actually taken into, like, it's wrong, technically. What I'm trying to say is it's wrong. And then now there's maybe the rights that people don't actually understand how they're violated is maybe protection from discrimination, protection from harm, protection from abuse and all that. The fact that people don't even understand that even your siblings, like the siblings of the child or the relative of the child, could actually sexually assault this child. And it's wrong.
They do that.
Yeah, and it's wrong. And sometimes even go to communities where for example, maybe there are 5 in the family and this is a 5th born, and they've seen their siblings get married at 15, go through FGM. So you can't tell this child that it's wrong for you to go through this process and that your right is being violated, because essentially they've seen it with all their siblings, you know. So I think honestly, it's a bit, actually if you think about it, it's quite easy to know if a right has been violated. According to, the child might not actually know it, but if you, it's very easy to understand, like it's very unambiguous to understand the rights. So if you go through that list and see how it's been actioned and see how it's been enforced and implemented, then you can be able to tell if it's a violation or not.
All right. Thank you so much, Evelyn. A group of your people, Gen Z Vibes podcast, just joined in, of course, the live and says that children are really not safe in this overgrowing modernization, just as the Gen Zs, as you mentioned earlier, now with the existence of AI, Chat GPT, and the like. When you talked about emotional support, of course, many would opt for, you know, that Kameta thing that is on WhatsApp, tucheze nayo, rather than talking to my mom or dad wananisumbua tu bure. So no, you'll be able to help us understand in your space how can we also initiate some of the strategies to ensure that tunapunguza you know, some of the things in the technology to help these children as well. So yeah. All right, let's take a breather. Of course, we'll be right back to just have an understanding on the safety of the children and how the law now comes in to really support these children. 44 minutes past 8 a.m. Let's take a short break.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house going like.
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
tu taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up. Kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
All right. Now the conversation continues right here on the headquarters Look Up Television, and of course we are live across our social media platforms. Join in www.lookup.tv.co.ke. Our website is working, and of course on YouTube and Facebook we are live. Cheza kama wewe. This is a conversation that matters to everyone out there, and many of which will want to engage in this conversation. Of course, feel free to just comment. Earlier on, I'd mentioned about Gen Z Vibes podcast says that children are really not safe in this overgrowing modernization. Now, with the existence of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and the like, and the conversation comes in or cuts across where we are still speaking about the engagements on a technology manze. It may come at a time that the children are more informed, and children want to engage either on social media or on ChatGPT, and of course on AI. And as we mentioned earlier about emotional support, when I feel now technology is coming at a point in time, inanisaidia sana. If I need any other thing, if I need satisfaction, if I need just a message, you'll realize also children wanataka waambiwe tu vitu vizuri. So technology also tells them very important things without kuwa limit. Inawapatia things just the way they asked for it. When we speak about technology, Evelyn, how would we initiate some strategy to at least punguza how children access mtandao?
Okay, so first of all, I'd actually want to commend the fact that people are actually noticing that there's technology-facilitated violence against children, which is actually, if you check everywhere, like the stats are crazy, and it's a top emerging threat. It's like a continuing. It's like now they've seen they can't be able to access these children physically, so it's easier to access them online, groom them first, and then now they can take it offline, right? And it's actually causing a lot of havoc, honestly, if you ask me, because most of these kids, you realize, I think the first time I got a phone, like an actual phone to use, was in like high school, Form 1 and stuff, because of course we had to be sent for homework and all that. But kids nowadays are having tablets up to literally the age of 3, as I mentioned earlier, and that's really, let me be honest, technology is good, but to what extent? You know, we need to ask that question, especially when it comes to children. And I'm even asking myself, are parental controls even enough in this case? Because, for example, recently I was looking at a case where a lady was saying how Roblox, it's a very popular game amongst the children. It's called Roblox, and she was saying how okay, so it's an online game where you can be able to communicate with the person that you're playing the game with, because it's an online game. So apparently, predators or like these perpetrators are actually joining these forums, these games, and pretending to be children behind the screen. Like they pretend that they're children of your age, and they know so much about what children know in that age, and then they actually groom those children. And in real sense, you'd find it's a 35-year-old man, a 36-year-old woman who's actually trying to groom these children and make them believe that I understand you maybe more than your parents, and I could actually offer solace if you're going through something. That's case number 1. Number 2, AI. I had you mention AI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, all those AIs that are available. There's a case, I think, I'm not so sure, I think it's in the West, Europe or US, I can't remember, but there's a case where a child died by suicide after being advised by an AI to actually commit suicide. Like, I think he was depressed, or like the parents didn't give him enough attention, and so he decided, because I can't get a therapist, I don't talk to my parents or my friends or my teachers or whoever, let me go online, talk to this chatbot. So apparently the chatbot, actually I think the parents sued that company, and the chatbot was actually telling the child, oh, you want to do this, let me give you some ideas, you know, just the way that I'd go online and search, I want to know this and this, give me ideas. So in the same way, and it actually worked, the child actually killed themselves, and they're able to kill themselves, and they're able to retrieve the messages. And now, of course, we are left wondering, so now who do we blame? Is it the chatbot? Is it the software engineers who like came up with the AI model, you know, or is it the end user? Is it the child themselves that were wrong?
What do you think?
It's a bit shaky, let me be honest. In a legal perspective, that comes down to IP rights, which is intellectual property rights, where it's becoming it's actually a bit hectic how to know who's on the wrong, because the AI cannot, you know, for you to hold copyright in something, you have to be a human. You have to be human. So an AI, which is a technology, it's a chatbot, it's a robot, it can't hold copyright rights, right? But now it's a really shaky thing to actually what am I saying? It's a really shaky thing to know, like you can't really know which is which. And I think there are laws that are coming up. Of course, there's the AI laws that are being, and policies that are being brought up. So maybe with that, they can be able to access that. Going back to what you were saying, in terms of emotional support, I know that people who, I even have friends myself who go to AI and they're just like, I'm going through this issue, what should I do? And it's easily accessible. It's right at the literally on our phones. We can use them anytime. We can download as many. Haini blue tick, itani jibu too. In fact, he's giving me so much attention, so I can be able to like text and say what I want to say and get feedback from it, which really is dangerous. I can say that it's very dangerous. And I think there's a way, I don't know if people like maybe the software engineers or the techies can tell us how, there's a way we can limit what the AI gives out, right? Because I think it gives out according to, there's a wiring they do, and then it gives you information according to its database. So you'll find that if you're going through, like for example, if I'm going through a problem and it gives me a solution, or maybe when you're having a conversation and I input something, the same solution I'm giving is what is going to give someone else with a similar sort of situation, because it's packed into its database. So I think even as children use these AI bots and applications and models, the parents and children alike should be told that this could actually affect you in future, because this person or this AI model might actually be collecting data on you, such that if someone else wants data about you, they can get it, right? Yeah. And also I think it comes down to, in terms of like a solution, it comes down to techies, lawmakers, social organizations should come together and have a conversation where they're like, you're coming up with this technology, advanced technology methods that are really helping us. We're not disputing that, but we also need to make sure that even in the applications and the models and modernization and all that, you should bring an aspect where, for example, this model, before it goes live or before the application goes live, there's actually like you go through it with a lawmaker who will be able to tell you there's a problem with data privacy here, there's a problem with protection here, there's a problem with online, there's a gap where online predators can actually access children or whoever is using this AI bot or AI app. Yeah, so
my director is saying that pia mejaribu hiyo story ya ku seek support, some you need help or it can offer support as well. But I think at the long run, watoto wafikiri hiyo time, they want just solution, very quick solution, and at that time you're not thinking because you are probably depressed, you just want an immediate solution. Let's revisit the conversation in regards to back in the days when you meet a child, kitu tu unaweza mpatia, maybe umbaie sweetie, ka lollipop and things go vile zitaenda, ama mpatie tu coin. But many years later we realize that story ya sweetie ni kama ilitupiliwa mbali. Right now you can just, there's a sort of improvement in the bad way. There are many techniques that you can use to get these children overboard or on board as well. When you look at the threat that is cropping in the society, we can't forget that the people that we thought they are much closer to us, how no at the end of the tunnel wanna turn out kuwa perpetrators. To a parent that is watching this morning and feels like, hey, itakuwa namna gani, how will I safeguard? I'm working from 6 to 6. Within this range, I do not know what my child does. I can use GPT or something, we wouldn't know. How will these parents ensure that they monitor some of the things that these children do during the day or in their phones as well?
Okay, so the first thing is, especially when it comes to online exploitation or abuse, I think the first thing that we really need to uphold and really need to fight for is awareness and education around these online technologies and how to actually protect our children online. Let me commend AFRALTI. I'm not sure how the long name, it's an abbreviation, AFRALTI, and Communication Authority of Kenya. They're doing a course that is called Child Online Protection. I actually just did it recently, and they're actually teaching you, it's a whole month, and they're teaching you about how you can safeguard your children online. They will teach you about cyberbullying, they'll tell you about online grooming, they'll tell you about sextortion, they'll tell you about identity theft, how these things are actually brought on the table to make sure that, like with the perpetrators of course, to show that there's actually sexual abuse that is being perpetrated online. There's actually online abuse that is moving from online to offline after you've groomed the child enough and they trust you enough. So they're actually, and they're also offering solutions and helplines that you can call. For example, Childline Kenya, ICMEC, that is International Center of Missing and Exploited Children. They have helplines for all those things where these parents can call in case it happens. So they teach you all these things in this course, and it's literally just free for anyone to access it. You just need to register, you get your logins, you do the quizzes, you get your certificate, and you're able to even teach others what you've learned yourself. So in terms of a parent who's leaving their children at home with devices, I would say, first of all, most of these apps or like ensure that the apps your children are using, even if it's a game app, even if it's an education app, e-learning platform, ensure that it has parental control, whereby you're either able to actually access what the child is learning or what the child is playing online, and you're able to see their progress if it's an e-learning platform or an educational platform. If it's a game, there's a way you can set it. I think most of these apps, if they're very child-centric, there's a way you can set parental controls where the child can't be able to access certain things, you see. But in terms of like AI apps, I honestly, at this point, until we're able to actually crack how we can safeguard our children using AI apps, I'd really say that as much as possible, let's try to make sure that our children avoid AI apps. Yeah, because I think even if you're leaving them with devices, there's a way you can restrict a certain app from being installed into that device, so that if they want to access AI, let them access it with you, so that you're there to see, oh, this is how AI works. If they want to be informed, this is how AI works. This is what can happen when you ask this certain question. They can give you ideas and all that. But let the child do it with a guardian or a parent. Until we are able to crack how we can safeguard them on their own using AI, I don't think it's a good thing for them to be exposed to it, because honestly it's really dangerous and it could expose children to so much cruelty and so much malice in the world. Yeah, so that's what I'd say. And
parents wafundishwe tu sasa.
Yes, so that's the first thing I actually said, education and awareness. It's very important. And there are even organizations, apart from AFRALT and CAK, the organizations that offer child online protection. For example, Legal Sister, where I come from, we offer child online protection, where we teach children and parents and caregivers how to learn about digital devices, how you can safeguard them, the parental controls, all those things will teach you, and by the end of that course, you're actually able to teach other people. So mi nikipata information na umepata information pia, nifunze mtu mwingine, isn't that a win? It is. It's a win. So yeah, I think that's all I can say on that. Yeah.
All right. With the same regards, I believe, of course, as time goes by, we will be able to shift and create an alignment in the society and these organizations as they come through vizuri. When I speak about sexual violence, from where you see it, unajua kitambo tulikuwa tunacheza cha baba na cha mama, yeah, there's so many things around that, and kile kitakachofanyika from that point in time, nyinyi ndo mnajua, unless either a neighbor or your parent or a party, you know? But even as we speak this particular point in time, there is the concern on, nowadays we do not speak about sexual sites. Nowadays we do not speak that children are exposed to sexual sites or ati anaenda kuwatch vitu mbaya mbaya, pornography. But in the alignment of that, kitambo ndo watoto wadogo, the first thing that they will be told that kitu mbaya online ni these sites. But nowadays there's so many things that are exposed to them that hata ni dangerous kuliko the sites. And I believe what you've mentioned, that we need to monitor what these children do on their internet. And ama tuwabaye zile gadgets zenye ziko too specific. There are sites that you can, educational sites, information sites, nini that you can visit. But also they will come tell you that mtoto wangu anapenda IT sana, so he or she needs to be involved in hizi equipments, they'll pate access easier. So now the challenge is coming in. In the long run, there needs to be a solution that people as you and many others in the society will build. So this is what we need now. Either they are safe or they are not safe. We already see a menace happening. You mentioned earlier that kuna hii gen something is coming. Ati yao ndo atakuwa dangerous sana. So we need to have a solution. A solution-based approach will help us not only with the government, but from within, from the family level to the society, and of course to the government. Earlier on, you remember Mosiria had mentioned that so many children are in the streets because they ran away from their homes, and hawawezi rudi home hata nini ifanyike. So how will we get these solutions? From where you see it, you mentioned earlier that you're coming from an organization that seeks to elevate a difference to these people. We want a solution, Evelyn, and the children out there that hata uambie nini, hata educate namna gani, they can't find comfort. How will you shape for us a solution this morning? And this solution will be used, of course, to the greater glory of what is expected to come next. If we are doing something wrong, how will we make a conscience and have a particular control in a room that these children pure to feel safe? Their children right now, they cannot be closer to a man because wanajuanga wanaume ni hatari. The same way applies to the female. Our ways feel the same. As you answer that solution-based approach, why do you think someone rapes a child?
That's a really hard question, honestly. It's a really hard question because you can never be in the mind of such a person. Like, you cannot, even if you sit and try to put yourself in their shoes, you really cannot come up with a direct answer that this is the reason why this person, they're the only ones who can know, you know. But I think I can say this. First of all, I think it goes back to how you are brought up. It's very important.
How a man was brought up?
Yes. It goes back to not even a man only. Let's also bring into perspective that even male children are raped by women. That also happens. It also happens, by the way. Only that it's not widely reported. It's not. It's rare. It's very rare. But it actually happens. So male perpetrators, women perpetrators are there. Yes. So I don't know why you're laughing. You'll tell us, but
I'm not laughing.
It actually is real. Female perpetrators are also there, and I think it comes back to how you are brought up in terms of like morality. There are families where morality is not really upheld as much. And what I mean by morality is like moral values. The moral values you instilled in your that you instilled in children since they were small. It's not really a big deal. Whether you know, morality is also, I say morality is relative. Something that will look good to me or like moral to me would look immoral to someone else, you know. So I think it goes back to how you're brought up, how your parents taught you, this is wrong, this is not wrong, this is right, this is not right, you know. And then also I think the lack of attention and emotional support from your parents, because I feel like if you check children who've been brought up, I stand to be corrected, by the way, this is just my opinion. So if you check children who've been brought up by their parents and whose parents have been involved in their lives every step of the way, from maybe when they were small to when they got to university or college or whatever, then you can tell that these people are actually upright and they're actually able to know that this is not right. My dad taught me that you should not treat a woman like this. My mom taught me that you should not treat a man like this. You know, we can be able to know how a man and a woman should be treated, because at the end of it all, we are all humans and we all have dignity. We all have the right to dignity, which is inherent.
Right.
So in terms of a solution, now let me answer your question. In terms of a solution, I think you mentioned a story about the street children. I feel like the government could actually do something about street children, because it's rising. Especially, I don't know if you've seen around the globe roundabout, there are so many street children there. And I've come across some organization or some individuals who go there every Sunday morning to feed these children. So it's come down to societies and communities actually deciding these children don't have anywhere to go, let's go feed them, you see. But the streets actually make the children more vulnerable. Children are already considered vulnerable in the society and in the nation, but now being on the streets makes them more vulnerable because they're open to exploitation, violence, teenage pregnancies, sexual exploitation, all those things. So I feel like the government could actually come up with a system and a project where it actually works, that street children are taken into sort of rehab centers that are actually with people who are competent, with people who are competent to deal with these children. We have social workers, we have therapists, we have people in the legal spaces, NGO spaces, who are able to know this child needs this at this time. Let's rehabilitate them in this kind. And you see, the moment you put them in these centers and you teach them all together, as they're learning together, they're able to understand, oh, but they have been doing something wrong. We really can't blame them, because wengine wametoroka home hakuna fees. Wazazi walipass, wamebaki na siblings, hawajui wataanzia wapi. Wengine wametoroka home because of neglect, because of abuse, because of like exploitation. Wameona, mimi siwezi endelea na hii maisha. Let me go out there and fend for myself, and maybe if I'm able to, I can come back for my siblings, you see. So really, I think we should look at it from a point of empathy, in as much as you're trying to make it very legal and governance and all that, but I think the government can actually do something about it. The same way they were actually able to overturn the fact that nowadays children's homes, for a child to be taken to a children's home, you have to take them first to the children office. Then the children officer will now take them to a certain home in the locality. I think that's a very good approach, because I feel like some of these children's homes are actually hawks, like they are hawks projects. People are just enriching themselves out of children. That is exploiting children actually, which is wrong. So if you're able to go back to the grassroots level and actually deal with these cases as they happen, it's easier. That's number one. Number two, which I'm going to really stress a lot, education and awareness. It starts from a child. When a child is 3 years, when a child is able to understand, able to learn, able to spell, to count numbers, start from that point. And there are 3 things I think that should be included in the curriculum going forward. Some of these things are going to be controversial, by the way, but it's just my opinion, and I think from where I sit and from what I've seen all through, it could actually really help us being informed rather than not being informed, you see, because we can actually deal with these things from a point of information and not from a point of misinformation. So the first thing is legal awareness and education. Go back right down to the bottom of it. Teach children about their rights, even as simple right as a right to food, right to shelter, right to clothing, right to safe environment. Teach them about those things as they are growing up. Number 2 is civic education. Right now where we are teaching ourselves about how politics run, how leadership runs, how governance runs. So if you're able to instill these things into a child when they're small, by the time they're at the age of 18, they'll be like, I want to be a voter, I want to be a leader in this country, I want to do great things in this country. And they build up their confidence as well, right? Because we're the ones who make up the nation. Sisi wa Kenya. Hakuna watu wengine, ni sisi tu. The other one, which is going to be very controversial, but I really actually advocate for it, is sex education. And I know it's going to be controversial because parents are going to say, oh, mnafunza watoto tabia mbaya, oh, nini. But guess what? How will you protect this child from an uncle who wants to defile them because they don't know that it's wrong? They know that this is my uncle, this is my teacher, this is my brother, my sister who cares about me, and they want to do this from a place of love. Actually, if you listen to some of these children speak, those who've been defiled, and of course we empathize with them, those who've been defiled and those who've gone through all these assaults, if you ask them, they'll tell you, I felt some form of connection and some form of love and affection from my uncle, from my parent, from my, whoever perpetrated that. And they'll tell you that, me, I just knew it's a form of love. Me sikuwa najua ati it's a right, like my right is being violated. I didn't know it was wrong because I've also maybe seen other people who've done that. And there's a lot of also peer pressure. Mimi na baba tunafanyanga hivi. Na nyinyi, mimi na nani tunafanyanga hivi. Na nyinyi, kujeni tujaribu, you know. So I feel like if you go down to tell them that this is what sex is. If someone does this to you, if they touch you like this, it's wrong. If they do this, it's wrong. I remember when we were small, and actually that's what I do when I go to train children. There's this song we used to sing for these are my private parts, you know that song. No one should touch them, no one should play with them, no one should see them. And you actually go down and tell them, even your own parents, you're not allowed to, like especially if you're now growing, a child growing, they're not allowed to touch you inappropriately. Because of course, mamako atakuosha, babako atakuosha. But when they touch you in some kind of way, alert someone. There's a lot of local community helpers who can actually come in. There's police. If they don't listen to you, there's the chief, there's your teachers. There are good people in the community who you know do actually do these good things and maybe even have organizations, right? Yeah, so I think that's my last point.
Well, you've answered quite a lot, of course, with the questions that have been asked as well. We have 3 minutes, of course, to end this live. And I'd like you to just answer with very short words. Yeah. Then thereafter you'll mention to us your organization and of course how can we interact with you and what some of these your services that you guys do. How can a child, that is Dante Max asks, how can a child who has already been exposed to online adult content be restructured? Then 2, you want to answer now?
Yes, can you repeat the question?
How can a child who already has been exposed to online adult content be restructured?
Okay, let me just answer that before we move on. I think
with
it's
very
possible.
few words because of times like you could cut short.
Yeah, no worries. It's possible and there's a potential for them to be restructured because we always say you cannot teach an old dog new tricks.
Indeed.
They're still young, so you can be able to restructure how they think. So what we can actually do is you can bring them to centers where they teach online protection, where they teach legal awareness and legal education. If you come to them and tell them this child has already been exposed to this, we need to see how they can be rehabilitated and restructured back to normal. So that can actually happen. Just approach someone who you know is an expert in that field, and then you can do that.
How should a parent respond immediately after discovering their child has viewed adult content?
You could, the helplines, as I mentioned before, you can contact helplines. There's Childline Kenya. There are so many helplines out there. There's 112, which is a child helpline in the whole nation. You can contact them. Alternatively, you can contact social organizations or NGOs that deal with children, and then they can be able to assist you. But the first important thing is, as when you realize that they've actually done it, you try to now cut it off from their life. So take away that site, take away the device if you have to, put up parental controls so that they're not able to go back there and actually see it again when you're not around. But for them to be restructured, maybe you'll need a little help in that, when you can actually ask NGOs and experts to help.
All right. Ya mwisho sasa, what immediate interventions do you recommend when a child has been negatively affected?
First of all, I think as it comes down to the parent. As a parent yourself, don't condemn that child. There's a difference between condemning and correcting. Don't condemn the child, correct the child. Tell them this is wrong. And you can already see the negative effects. Don't tell them, don't bring down their self-esteem by condemning them and telling them you can't amount to anything because you've done this and it's affected you negatively. What you can do is sit down with them, talk to them, support them, emotionally support them, and bring other people to actually help you in that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have concluded the session. And now how will we interact with you?
So our organization is called Legal Sister. We're based in Kilimani. We have an office there. We're on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. You can find us there. Just search Legal Sister or Sister Legal. You'll find us there. You can also send us a DM. Our email is admin@legalsister.com. Our phone number is 0116-025-128. So if you want to contact us, you can contact us through those channels.
All right. What about you?
My name is Evelyn Gathoni. I'm a lawyer. I work with Legal Sister. If you want to contact me, my email is gathoni2@gmail.com. My number is 0725-088-618. Yes.
All right. But also we have a legal brothers. We have a team of legal brothers as well. Me and Indechi, we are doing serious things for ground, and of course we have our CEO Dante Max. All right, nakulink now. They can partner with legals. All right, so thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. Of course, the conversation Children Safe has been well understood, but it's just a glimpse of the same, and there's so many that we can tackle in regards to child right protection right in the country, even as the article number 53 protects these children and of course enshrines the body that focuses on the Child Rights Protection Act. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Jamhuri Day, so tuna mengi ya kusema. Let's go embrace the Jamhuri Day, and of course later on, happy weekend from the entire team. We are wishing all our viewers a happy Jamhuri Day and a happy weekend, even as we marry in this tough economic times. May the good Lord be with us. Thank you so much, Dante Max. Thank you so much, Joshua Kamau. Thank you so much, Audrey. And thank you so much, Emmanuel Indechi, for the good job well done this morning. All inshallah to the merry that happens in the morning drift. My name is Master Kitch, and of course have a lovely morning.
We value your